1 year ago, unknowingly, was the last time I drove my STI. And that is because I blew up my motor for a second time in less than 2 weeks. Fuck. And well, you could say I was a little demotivated. But here we are, 1 year later, we're bringing the STI back to my shop. And well, here we go, back at my shop, except now this time with my 2017 STI behind us, and it's time to get this thing back on the road. But now we gotta go through, disassemble my old long block, get the head sent off to get deck checked, cleaned, and hot tanked so they are ready for our new motor. Now I'm hoping that we don't find any hidden damage when we just disassemble these heads because it was a motor failure, except I actually don't know what failed. Now, as we start tearing apart this motor, I have no idea what failed, and what we find later on was a first. Now, from a visual inspection, these heads look perfect, which is a good sign, but let's go ahead, get all of this disassembled, and then brought over to our local machine shop. Now, while my heads were at the machine shop, I decided to take a closer dive to see what failed inside my motor. And what I originally thought to be rod knock as the culprit of taking out my motor, as it sounded like it, after diving in, taking a look at, I don't even know what cylinder this was. Cylinder 2, our piston is fried. Now, to ensure nothing like this happens again, for starters, we have a brand new motor going in, but we also have brand new spark plugs, coil packs, and injectors. Now, before we put this thing back together, we're going through and giving this the wash it desperately needs. And it is time to put this STI back together. Well, it is game time. It is time to bring this STI back to life. Behind us here, we have our brand new BBR Stage 4 short block. We got our heads back from the machine shop. These things came out perfectly. Nothing wrong with the heads. We're gonna throw this thing together, hopefully get the motor in the car today and get as much buttoned up as possible. Now, with any bearing failure, you're gonna have bearing material go throughout your entire oiling system. So I replaced everything on this car that touches oil. So in front of us here, we have a brand new OEM oil pump. We have a brand new oil cooler. You can sometimes clean these. Most times the scores, the inside, you have to replace this anyway. It is impossible to clean these. So I replaced both of those, but I'm also replacing my AVCS cam gears, which is something I've actually never done before, and I have a feeling that is why I kept taking out motors. So I went through, spent a lot of money. I think it was $1,000 just for all of those cam gears, but we got brand new ones of those, and we have a brand new master gasket set. You guys that ask, what all do you need to replace when you're doing a motor replacement in your car? And I try to answer as many of you guys as possible, but Smeedy, a good buddy of mine, Tanner, made a video recently going over an entire part list of any make and model of Subaru. It could be a Forester. He made a whole video with a whole description of part numbers. I'll go ahead and have that link down below in case any of you guys are going through the same process I am right now and need a just full, complete list of everything you need to replace. It's gonna make your guys' life a lot easier. But let's go ahead, jump right into this and start getting the long block dressed up. And here we are with my brand new assembled BBR long block. And this motor is utilizing his Stage 4 short block paired with his Stage X heads. Well, here we go. Over a year later, we now have an assembled long block ready to drop into the STI, and I'm so beyond excited. We have to go ahead and get this thing up on an engine hoist, get our new clutch installed, dropped it in, and then we can dress this thing up. Now, there's two things I am changing on the setup. I think actually the only two things I am changing. For starters, we are now going to be running an ACT clutch. In the past, I've always ran the Exetti triple discs. Everyone raves on how good this new mod twin clutch is. So we're gonna go ahead and give it a try and see how we like it. But also, we are throwing in some OTL coil packs. And for starters, this packaging is top tier, but here we go. Now, I can't believe I have not ran these coil packs sooner because for starters, these are actually cheaper than the OEM ones. These are like 350 or 360 bucks, obviously for a set. The stock ones are a lot more than that. But also, these are a lot stronger than the OEM capabilities, so we don't have to run as an aggressive gap as we have been in the past, so we don't break up with all the boost that we're throwing at this thing. So with these coil packs, we should run a way less aggressive gap, have it way safer, and still be able to make all the power that we're wanting to make with this thing. So for all my Subaru boys, I'll go ahead and have these linked down below. But now it's time to get this thing ready to drop into the car. No way. We have a motor installed in my STI. Wow. But man, I have not put a Subaru motor in for so long. I'm a little bit rusty at it. Probably took us 10-15 minutes to get it dropped in. But there we go. Our motor is installed. We can go ahead and get rid of our engine hoist. And we can start buttoning subs, obviously starting with our bell housing and putting all of our accessories on, our intake manifold, our fuel lines, our engine harness, our turbo, and we can start this thing. Now that we have the motor installed in the car, we gotta do the fun stuff of dressing this thing up. So laid out in front of our table here, we have all of the charge piping, our intake manifold, our engine harness, our fuel lines, and a few other miscellaneous things to get this thing ready. So let's go through and start getting all of our accessories onto this motor. Well guys, here we go. Our turbo is one of the last small pieces. We need to go ahead, toss on the STI before we start this thing for the first time in over a year. My turbo sits something like that. Now we can go through and install our battery. All right, well, here we go. The car is put together. There's a few things that we need to do before we can go ahead and start this thing up. The first thing is we need to get this thing up in the air, and we need to completely drain our fuel tank, as it's been E85 sitting in this for a little over a year now. So I want to go ahead, flush that out, put some new 85. We have to make a trip down to our gas station, put some oil in, put some coolant in, and this thing is gonna fire up today. All right, here we go. We have the battery hooked up. We got all of our fuel pump fuses in place. We're gonna go ahead and grab our jump pack, power on the car and accessory, and try to drain our entire fuel system. I'm hoping it doesn't kill this battery pack, but I guess we'll play it by ear. Here's what we are doing. This is the feed line. I have it blocked off right now. Obviously, we'll go ahead and remove that. Give power to the car. I have a buddy inside in case something goes wrong. He can kill power, but let's go ahead and start this jump pack. Turn on ignition. Oh, that works! It's working! It is actually a consistent stream too. How much gas is in there? Half a tank. Half a tank, oh my God. This is some exciting stuff here. Now hopefully our startup, everything goes to plan here, but it looks like we're getting low on here. It's time to fill this thing up. I think we have like 11 point something gallons. We got oil in the system. We're gonna go ahead and put water in the coolant system first in case we have any leaks so it doesn't create a huge mess. And in like 30 seconds here, we gotta start this thing up. I guess I really only need to put like 5 gallons in right now.
Just for it to start?
Yeah. All right, we've got oil, water, fuel. We're gonna go ahead and crank this thing over. We have our crank sensor disconnected. We have our fuel pump disconnected. We're gonna go ahead and crank this over till we build oil pressure, plug those back in. This thing should be ready to fire up. I'm nervous, let's just do this, I guess. Ah, fuck. Gotta record this from the inside. Well, there we go, boys. I was so damn anxious to get this thing started, but so far everything looks good. We went ahead and dumped all the water out. We're gonna go ahead and bleed the system with some coolant, and I wanna drive this thing home tonight, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video, as it was one video and we did everything. It was a lot also different of a video than I've ever filmed before. I'm really curious to know what you guys think of it. I'm sure there's tons of stuff I could change, but the STI is back on the channel. I cannot wait to start racing this thing, all of the street videos. We are going to have an absolute blast with this car. And of course, the Honda build is coming along amazingly as well. That is currently in fab, getting the full custom turbo kit, a ton of other miscellaneous stuff done as well. Let's go ahead, bleed this coolant, and drive this thing. Well, actually, we're gonna wait till the following video to do our first drive in this car. And I'm kind of blue balling you guys here, but I think in the next video, I really wanna try to get this thing on the dyno. Just make sure it's all dialed in, make sure the tune is still good, which it should be. Nothing on the setup changed, but it is good. It's been a year since this car has been touched. So in the following video, we're gonna do our first drive, do some motor break-in. I hope you guys are just as excited as I am to have this car back on the channel, especially because we are building our badass Honda as well. That is currently at fab, getting the full custom turbo kit on. I'll throw some clips on here for you guys, a little sneak peek. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It was completely different than any other video I have filmed on this channel, but it was kind of fun to make this video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below if you liked it, hated it, and whatnot. But with that being said, I'll see you boys in the next one.